Stugotz, after week 1, Dan Orlovsky has dared to go where I have not seen a whole lot of other human beings go.
Where'd he go?
It is time to, quote, take a long and hard look, end quote, at Jameis Winston in Cleveland.
Oh, wow.
Oh, my God.
I think he's right.
1 week and a real huge epic disaster of a contract. Stugotz, I don't know if you know this, but I believe I have it right when I say the only champion that there has been that is paying a quarterback more than 12% of its payroll is Patrick Mahomes. Like, that's the entire list. The amount of money that the Browns have put into this disaster is franchise crippling. And to have in week 2 people not back away from Orlovsky saying it's Jameis time? When you saw what happened with Jameis, Stugotz, do you understand the level of disaster you're talking about at quarterback when you swap out Jameis and immediately win the Super Bowl because all you did was eliminate his interceptions in Tampa Bay, and you went from 7-9 to Tom Brady and championship?
Well, you replaced him with Tom Brady. So, I mean, in this case, you're replacing Deshaun Watson with Jameis Winston. I understand your larger point. Deshaun Watson has been a below-average quarterback for quite some time now. Like, he has. Like, it's a bad contract, no question about it. We could talk about all the off-the-field stuff. There is some new news there now with Deshaun Watson. He has been bad on the football field.
Not only that, though, Stugotz, I will say, after watching your Jets last night get dismantled by the 49ers, that there is, I don't know what that sound was.
I don't know, dismantle. I mean, it was 32-19. The Jets had a 7-6 lead. I mean, 7-3 lead, then 7-6.
I mean,
dismantle.
Okay, like they got beat up pretty good. And
I will tell you that first touchdown drive, Dan, was the greatest drive in Jets history. All right.
After watching that, I would say there is no greater value in the sport than nothing more important than having value at quarterback. San Francisco can build that monster of a team, and they're playing the Jets, and you're like, oh, the Jets got all the money tied up in the quarterback. And the 49ers don't, and so they have players all over the field and don't have to have the great expensive quarterback.
They did that without Christian McCaffrey last night.
Amazing.
Yes.
I've got Aaron Rodgers takes, but I'd like to revisit the Deshaun Watson thing before we veer too far off of it, because there was another allegation, a lawsuit that had been reported on, and the details are out on the internet, and you should read that. Have some discretion before you do, because this is being painted as a sexual assault allegation. The details make it very clear that what allegedly happened here was a rape. That is the allegation. This is really vile, really violent, really terrible details that are going on there. And now the football aspect of it, because there were a lot of people that were ride or die with their Cleveland Browns and stuck with them and defended Deshaun Watson, and a lot of people are now engaging in bad faith conversations. It's like number 27 was a bridge too far for you. And now this is conveniently being held up. And I would say pay attention to some of the sources reporting on this, not specific to the lawsuit itself, but the spin on how to get out from this contract. Explore some of those sources and how tied they might be to people in Cleveland's front office. Now it seems that there is going to be a reaction to this allegation that will be far more outsized than the previous previous allegation.
Like the coldness of what Mike is saying there, Stugotz.
Yeah.
That the number of people who will defend this behavior if they think their quarterback is good, and then the strategic leaking on stuff that makes you wonder, are they trying to get out from under the contract? Because now everyone can see it's a horror. And all in the middle of that, the idea that women get trampled, man, oh man, it's pretty gross, the cutthroat, cold calculation in that.
And the details in this story, while vivid and shocking, do fall in line with many of the almost countless allegations that Deshaun Watson had to settle out of. And some of the reporting spin on this that I've seen is that this would be considered a whole new incident and would not be grandfathered in with the previous NFL ruling on him. And yes, there is a possibility that Cleveland can get out from the worst contract in the history of pro sports. And that is where people's minds first went. We'll say he is still a monster. This is an overwhelming amount of allegations. Things here are bad and always have been. And just because you now have certainty that he can't be the guy that he once was, you want to go out there on that island as you perceive it to be and now have an issue with it? You miss me with all of that. Cleveland should have never brought this individual in. He should not be playing football. This was only a matter of time when you consider the laundry lists of allegations against him. All of it was one of the worst chapters in the history of pro sports. And Cleveland and their decision makers, even if they get out from this contract, are going to skate by, and they shouldn't.
Well, to underline your point, though, we're looking a lot at the latest allegation because it seems heinous. But there were 2 or 3 dozen women a couple of years ago who lined up and told their stories about his misbehavior, sexual misbehavior. And so this is nothing new. It's worse maybe in some ways, and it's recent, but this guy's been a scourge on the NFL brand for years
Okay,
now.
but we spent a lot of time talking about that contract, and I will remind you.
The Dolphins were also interested in Deshaun
Yes, they
Watson.
were.
Multiple
Absolutely.
teams were interested in
Absolutely.
Deshaun Watson.
Look, we can do this again. I'd rather not. I'd just like to point out to you that the Dak Prescott contract that was signed was purposefully $1 million more guaranteed than what was the precedent-setting contract of Deshaun Watson that makes it such a disaster. He, in that desperation, reset the entirety of the market, and it's not a coincidence that it was exactly $1 million more that Dak got guaranteed than the biggest guarantee you've seen in the sport. Like the finances of this that make it so cold and awful that you're now like, oh, the Browns are going to try and see if they could sneak away from everything they did there when they shouldn't be allowed to sneak away from everything they did there.